Let's use AI to create some friends for you because you're lonely. Good morning, good evening, or good night to the lovely people watching. In today's video, we'll be speaking about how to create friends. First thing I'd like you to understand is this. You need to take the initiative. The more you take the initiative of starting a conversation, flirting with someone, or just in general, speaking, there's a higher possibility that you'll get what you want. Because think of it this way. My closest friend, my best friend, do you know how I met him? I was at a training center doing a low row exercise and he was beside me doing a lat down pull down. And what ended up happening was that I never seen this dude before and I just decided to strike a conversation by saying, "Hey, I've never seen you run before. Are you new?" Bam. From that point forward, we kept in touch, we started training together, and now he's my best friend. That's what I love about male friendship is that it's easy. As a man, you have an advantage to create friends, to get friends. And then you can say, right, that, but I'm having a tough time making friends or becoming more social. All right, then here's the secondary tips for you. Your interests, what are they? For me, it is Lego Star Wars, art, Warhammer 40k, magnet fishing, and yeah. If I had, let's say, in my instance, I had zero friends, I had no understanding of socialization. The first thing I really think about is I love reading. All right. And just to clarify, don't go out there to single-handedly actually just seek out friends or try to get a girlfriend, because the moment you start to actually going to your standard places and your mission becomes create a friend to start flirting, you lose the whole point. The point is when an opportunity arises that you see someone individually at these places, you make eye contact or you have the possibility to strike a conversation. Take that opportunity, because when you let that opportunity slip by, you lose your chance to make a friend. And the only thing that is really holding you back is you, your own mind. That's the only thing that is holding you back. The overthinking, the worrying about saying something wrong, who cares? I've made a fool out of myself more times than I can count on my own fingers. But I still continue on and make friends as I go. People know me. I say hello, good to see you, what kind of training routine are you hitting today? Cool, moving on. People that know me, people that I know. But I didn't come to that point by being afraid. I came to that point by trying and failing. So let's go back to the instance where, let's say you love Warhammer or you're a nerd in general. Fair enough. Whenever next time you're about to go to your local game shop or the usual places that you hang out, you see a cute girl or you see a dude that, oh, you think he's pretty cool. Strike a conversation. You will realize how much potential that you actually have and how much you have in common with people just in general. So I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm going to my local game store, just in general, because I have a hobby of model painting or collecting. So I travel down there with, let's say, $100, $200 in my pocket. My mission is to find something interesting because I've run low on a certain minifigure and I need a new one, or I want a bigger set. So I travel down and then I see this dude in the other section playing or looking at a box that is quite expensive. Ta-da! And an opportunity to create a conversation. Since I have a little experience and a little knowledge in the field of being a nerd, I would strike a conversation by saying, "Hey, cool, you're playing Tyranids. Biovore Titan is a pretty good choice. However, very expensive, can't deny that." And even though the nerds come in different shapes and sizes, I'm at the point in my life where I just, you know what, I don't give a shit what people are shaped like. I mean, I've spoken to people who are 40 years old and have the same hobby as me, and I can come talk to them like they were my age. Do you want to know why? Because they're human beings, them too. That's something that I feel like, a little side rant, that I feel like a lot of us tend to forget, that we are so preoccupied of status, how we look, wealth, money, that when you strip away all these sort of things, the person you're looking at, as much as a human being than you and I are, you watching this up until this point, you're equally human as I am. The things that I have, like materialistic possessions, don't define me for who I am. I am defined by who I am based on my personality, based on how I react, based on who I talk to, things like that. You need to understand that creating friends is just as easy as making a meal at home. You can go out there and the first person you see, you can practice. You know, when you go to the gym for the first time or you start a new hobby for the first time, the same goes for interacting or flirting with women, even for that matter, that we all begin somewhere. You gotta try, you gotta practice. So let's say to what is it called? Compare work life, school life, whatever. You know the dude that in your class that's really athletic. You know the woman in your workspace that just got a promotion. Do you think that they got there by just not doing a shit? No, they got to that point because they tried. That woman got that promotion because she worked her ass off. That dude is in a healthy relationship because he worked on himself and he approached that woman speaking to her. You need to be the person taking the initiative. And you can say, but I have social anxiety, but I have this, I have that. Again, the disorders you have, or don't blame it on anything else. Just take accountability and actually do something. You want friends, then you gotta make friends. It is harsh, but it's simple. When I lost, even you for that matter, when you lose just a thinking pattern or just stop thinking, don't completely go brain dead and just, oh, I forget everything that I've been taught in my life. Oh. No. More of a fact that become social by speaking to people. And it is much more easier to speak to people with someone that you have something in common with. Now that I've just spoken about how do you create friends, fair enough. Now we can go into the second phase of maintaining friendship. The closest friends that I have in my social circle, they are there for a particular reason. They're real. Now, let's say you've got a few friends. There was a time in my life where I questioned if the people I were hanging out with were my real friends or if they were just fake. A real friend is someone that does not walk on eggshells around you. Someone who can be brutally honest with you and say their opinion around you without you batting an eye or going batshit crazy. Let's say, you know what? I'm going to say my gym bro as an example. If he has been skipping legs for a few days, and I know that because he has told me, I'm going to call him out like a good bro and I'm going to say, you're a bitch for skipping leg day. Leg day is equally as important as hitting chest. Oh, but according to neuroscience, shut the fuck up. Leg day is equally important as training upper body. And if he knows that I've been skipping chest, triceps, biceps, upper neck, lower back, upper back, he's gonna call me out and call me a bitch and say, you've been skipping, we're going to the gym. But I got rest day tomorrow. Cool, you haven't hit chest in X amount of days, we're going. And there has been times where he has actually driven up to the front of my apartment and he's just banged on the door or called me 5 times and said, we're going to the gym. I ain't got the energy, I haven't eaten. Cool, we'll go grab a banana on the way and we'll just go to the gym. A good friend is someone you can do like that with, where you can just show up to the door, bang, 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 we're going. A fake friend, do you know what that is? A fake friend is someone who speaks behind your back, doesn't have your back, and whenever you need something, they'll find an excuse. If your friendship is just based on purely money, and you remove money in the image itself, you'll quickly find out how real people are or fake they are. And another example of that is, I'd have someone that I used to call a bro. I thought he had my back, but every single time we would hang out with each other. Hey man, can I borrow $50? and like, can I borrow 25? And as a good friend, I would lend it to him then and there. But those 25 and $50 started to quickly add up. Then I learned the hard way that, in the end, he started to borrow a lot. So when there was a time period where I actually am a little few bucks short. I actually I gave money to a friend of mine a long time ago. I can ask if I can have it back. Because I'm facing a certain crisis too, like he, and I thought, friends have each other's back. Oh, I'm sorry, bro, I'm facing struggles. The same night, he goes out drinking, and suddenly he has beer money. And I'm just thinking, bro, how the fuck do you have like $100 to $200 to spare to go drinking when I needed that money and I always had your back and you didn't? Apparently, our friendship was just based on money. So when I stopped reaching out and he just stopped and he continued asking for money and I said no, the moment I started to say no, the friendship quickly died out. So that was just a fake friend. Lesson learned, fair enough, that friendship is not going to be based upon money. The third thing is, even though you make friends, or just in general are in a relationship, people will come and go in your life. That's the brutal truth about it. That even though creating friends, not with AI, we're not going to use AI to create fake friends. We're going to make friends by going out and speaking to people. Losing friends is maybe one of the important lessons too, because I remember when it was a person I used to grow up with and had connection for years on end, and we just fell apart. We just don't speak to each other anymore. Even though I consider him as a friend, even though we don't speak. To be fairly honest, I just don't consider him as a friend anymore because we don't speak. We outgrew each other. That's life. We just don't speak to each other. But the thing is that the reason we don't speak to each other anymore is because we're on two different life paths. I like YouTube, I like being a nerd, and I like working. That's how I operate. He goes to school and he does this sort of thing, but I go to the gym and he never wants to go to the gym. But every single time we hung out, it was the same thing, same conversations, same thing, nothing never changed. I feel like he never